Hi, beautiful crew. Welcome to our session for this week. And just a little few things, particularly now that we're a bit more available on YouTube. Just always looking after your body. So, you're the one on the yoga mat, you know what it feels like. So, don't do anything silly. If something doesn't feel good, stop and just work to within your abilities. There's some options today. So, just kind of taking it to where you want to take it to. Always coming back to that. What does my body feel like? What have I been doing lately? And just go with what feels good. We're going to start at the front of the mat. And we're just going to start with kind of soften stance. So our feet hip distance or a little bit wider. And just soften into your body and where you are. So thinking about the ground underneath us, thinking about the earth. Think about where your space is, what the time of the day is, what season is it. We've got some people practicing up in the northern hemisphere, quite different to what we're experiencing. We've got that crossover of the seasons as we come into autumn or fall here in Aotearoa, going into spring in the northern hemisphere. So just kind of noticing what's the weather pattern like. Is it a little bit cooler? Is it a little bit warmer? There's some extremes going on around the place. So we're feeling our way into the space around us, how that makes our body feel. So breathe, notice your breath. Breathe it out and just kind of let your shoulders drop, especially if that's where you carry the world. Shrug it off for a moment. Give that body and that nervous system just that chance to pause, to stop, to be in a different space. Move in a way that feels nice for your shoulders. So it might be a wriggle, it might be a twiggle. Your whole body might get a shimmy on. Just kind of move your head a little bit. Kind of turn it in some directions, just gently, again. And then listening, we're not going extreme, don't need to. You look down and then look up. Just bring the chin up. And bring yourself back to some kind of neutral. Again, soften knees, especially crew that like to lock your knees up. Just kind of be in that space for a moment. Wriggle your toes. We're going to inhale, take our arms slowly up. Find that range of motion for yourself. And we're going to bring them down on the exhale. Just do that nice and slow. Feel like you're stroking the air with your fingers. Inhaling, coming up. And exhaling. Coming down. Again, just that slowness of movement. It can feel so nice, so nourishing sometimes, just to not be in a rush. And again, coming up. And down. Let's take our feet out to the edges of your mat. Wriggle into those hips a little bit, or some clicking and clunking for me. I'm going to sink, so tailbone goes back, and we're going to push into the heels a little bit. So just come down, don't have to go too deep, or you can take it down nice and deep if that's what your body feels like it needs. We're going to inhale up again. So my spine's on an angle, team. I'm not trying to sit up straight, but it's straight at the same time. Okay, so as we come up, we're just coming into alignment with that spine and back down. Tailbone's going back, so that's helping elongate the spine. Coming up, coming down. Take a little bit deeper if you want. Touch the ground if you can. Inhale up. Exhale. Come down, touch that ground. Inhale up. Exhale. Bring it down. One more. Inhale. Come all the way up. Soften those knees on the way up. Link the fingers. Point those forefingers upwards. Take the gaze up to the fingers. Feel like we're taking off in between the ribs. So give the sides of your body a wee wriggle so you can feel those intercostal muscles in between your ribs. Moving one side, then moving the other. A wriggle. We're not leaning over, we're kind of lifting up at the moment. Want to loosen up some muscles and bring those arms down. Link the fingers behind you this time. Work the arms down, tuck the chin in. Breathe it out. Hang out here for a moment. We're not forcing those shoulders down. It's a little bit of gentle pressure. Chin tucked in. Breathe. Then let those arms drop, give the hands a little shake out. Let's come back down into that squat. So, tailbone, heading backwards. Spine nice and long, so don't arch up too much, find straight, but don't curl over either. Kind of find that shape. Knees, nice and lined up, the ball of your foot. So weight slightly to the outside. Bring those arms up slowly, inhale. Stretch it out. When we exhale, we're going to come down. Fingertips to the floor. I'm going to lift the hips. Let the head drop. First forward fold. Breathe it out. We're going to come back into that squat. Blood pressure crew, just bring the hands to the heart space as you bring your head higher than your heart. Blood pressure feeling all right? Lift it up. Bring it back down. Lift the hips. Stretch it out. Let the head drop. Breathe. Drop it down again into that little squat. Hands to the heart or opening it up. Big deep breath. Find the breath. Bring it back down. Lift those hips up. Let the head drop. Let the shoulders go. Let the back loosen up. Wriggle a little bit if it's feeling tight in the upper body. One more, coming down into that half squat. Hands to the heart space. Then arms lift. We're going to take off up to standing. Woo! Look after that blood pressure, team. This time when we link our fingers, we're lifting up and we are heading left. So bring that whole right side up so it can reach up and over. Breathe into those muscles. Feel where, so an area where we really hold some tension. So feel that, feel what needs to happen. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, take it the other way. So lift, find your breath. Which side might feel a little bit different to the other, that's fine. Breathe it out, make sure we're breathing, that's where the movement is. Inhale, lift it up. When we're ready to exhale, the hands come down through that center line again. And we're just coming down, half squat. So tailbone pushes back, fingers come down, hips lift, head drops down, forward fold. Let the head go, let the shoulders release. This time we're hanging out here, so soften those knees. A little bit of movement if it feels good. This time just the hips. Tiny side to side. Just activating those muscles in a different way, letting yourself feel the stretch slightly differently. Breathe it out. Full squat for those that can, half squat for those that find it quite hard, so bring the toes outwards as you bring your butt down. And elbows to the inside of the knees if you've come all the way down, and breathe. If you're in this one, again, we can play with little tiny movements. Little rock into the hips. Just looking after those knees are nice and supported. Sometimes it's not the big movements that get our muscles freeing up. It's these kind of little movements we're kind of working into letting the muscles work out that they can let go, rather than our mind going, I can make my muscle do this. Bring the hands down, lift back through that forward fold. So up through the hips, let the legs straighten out, bring the feet back into that alignment. Breathe it out, soften those knees. Those that can, a gentle reach up with the arms, linking the fingers, lifting up towards the roof. Arms come down, elbows onto thighs, butt comes down. It's a little half squat, bring the head up higher than the heart. Crew that do a bit of vinyasa work, so flow or faster yoga, lifting on up. You might notice that we really deeply slow it down when we're standing on the mat. For me, some of that's from having low blood pressure for my whole teaching career, then understanding that a lot of other people do. The other is knowing that sometimes coming out of something and into something, it's our most vulnerable. And so if we're doing that at speed, we haven't got that control. So slowing it down sometimes makes it a bit harder, but it kind of keeps that, still that flow, but you're in a different flow, you're in that slow flow. So let's, again, drop shoulders. Breathe it out. Really let that air out. Might feel like a balloon. And then let it re-inflate, let your body re-inflate. We're going to take our weight over to our right side. So if you know your balance is a bit interesting, try not to rely on a wall or a secure object, but just know that it's there so that you can work into learning to balance a bit better. So once we've got our right side activated, we're going to bring this left foot up. We're just going to hang out on that right foot for a moment, getting used to that movement. So how much your foot moves, how much your ankle works. Softening that knee a little bit, but lifting the upper body. So we don't want to slump, we want to lift. Find your breath, make sure your breath feels nice and steady. Then that left foot comes down. We're really activating that left side of the body so that we can bring that right foot up. Again, getting used to the movement in the foot. So feel that movement. Breathe. Bring that right foot down. Bring the energy back over to that right side. Lift that left leg, this time coming up in front. We're going to take it out to the side and just kind of guide it with this left hand so you can feel it. Starting to work this hip a little bit. Breathe, lift out through the upper body, so we're feeling really strong. This foot's just hanging out. We're kind of working around to the side of the body, might be feeling a bit tight, so just go gently. Those squats warmed it up a wee bit. That's the first time we've really taken that angle further out. Bring that down, transfer that energy over, bring that right foot up, bring the knee up, hand to the knee, just supporting, gives you that little bit of control, a little bit of feeling of control. Breathe. Notice, again, relaxing into that left leg, lifting the upper body up. Bring that down. Okay, give your hips a little bit of a shift. Those of you that really feel that in the lower back, counter pose is forward folding for these kind of things. So we're going to go a little bit wider again. So we're going to leave our left foot at the front. I'm going to step this right foot in the back a bit, turn the feet. I feel nice and wide without feeling like you're going to do the side splits. Give the knees a little wriggle again. And crew that aren't so into the forward folds, if you do have a wall there, you can walk your hands kind of down that wall so that you're not immediately kind of tipping around. Or just hands, and we'll all do it, hands too, just below the knees. Just come around until your spine's flat. There's a lot going on for hamstrings right there. Sometimes enough. If you can go round, keep that back nice and long. Bring the hands down. And just go slow. Walk the hands in, let the body drop a bit further around, let the head start to go, let the shoulders start to go. Start to come out. And we're coming out slow, so we're going to bring our heels in. Bend into the knees a little bit, knees going outwards, so coming wide. Ooh. Reminiscent of Goddy's pose, team, so just come up slow. Lift it up, again looking after blood pressure. Turn your feet so you're nice and steady as you step forward. And give everything a little bit of a, make sure your blood pressure's alright. So, depending on how you're feeling with this kind of hip rotation, we sometimes think of tree pose as really simple until we start breaking it into the pieces and you're like, there's a lot going on. So we're going to take our, again, energy into that right side. I'm going to bring this left foot still on the floor, just out to the side, toes pointing out to the side, turn into this hip. Okay, there's our kind of branch of that tree. And all we're going to do is start to walk that foot up. Now we miss out the knee, so if you start to wobble here, keep your foot below your knee. If you're doing okay, start to make connection with that ankle. Just draw it up into the groin. Okay, and push the heel. The heel pushes quite hard. Some people don't like that sensation. Also discover whether our pants are slippery. Just kind of feel that. Breathing, again feeling that energy, strong energy in that right side. Bring the hands to the heart if you don't need them to keep your balance. Just notice, just feel into what's going on in your foot. And we're grounding at the same time, so those of you that are, needing a little bit of the earth wire maintenance, think about that root system going down into the earth from here. Breathe. Yeah, let this foot come down. And we're shifting that energy over. And we're again starting with our foot on the floor. And we're just opening into this hip. So even if you're like, oh, but I can get my foot up into my groin, going slow can be good. So again, just that slow kind of understanding, oh, my knee actually needs to go right out to the side. And this hip what's this hip going to try and do? Mine always tries to go that way. So I've got to be quite conscious of lifting up and out, especially once this foot comes off the floor. So we're walking it up. If you are able to get it into that groin do, just kind of find that steadiness in your breath, feeling in your body. Don't rush it. We're not trying to get to a particular point. I think that's one of the really big mistakes we make in yoga practice. We think, I've got to get to the pose, when the yoga is the journey to the shapes and the journey out of the shapes and all the bits in between. So if you're steady enough, hands to the heart, find your breath. Again, think about that energy flow, like down into the earth, from the earth up to us. Everything we eat and drink, that connection. Our breath coming from those beautiful trees and plants around you. Again, just noticing. Are you already jumping to the next thing? It means you need more tree pose. Is your left foot starting to feel it? Good. Slide it down. Come out, just give those feet that little wriggle. Let's leave our right foot at the front this time. Step wide, turn the feet. Again, little wriggle. Just loosen up. Try not to come into the pose all tight. Because you do that and you lose all that movement. Okay? We're going to go that halfway mark again. So hands just below knees. Spine nice and long. And then down. If you can, bring the hands down, just going slow. Take them off the side of the mat. Walk them in slowly if there's room, let the head drop. And again, we're just easing out. So we come out slow. We're going to turn our toes outwards. Bend into those knees. Bring the head up higher than the heart. Come up slow, lots of energy in the body. Bring it back. Turning those feet as we step. Breathing it out. Breathe it out. You're going to come up onto the ball of the foot and just kind of rock around on the ball of our foot for a bit, especially if you have a tendency to grip the floor with your toes. Notice I'm working side to side. Imagine you're scrunching something with the ball of your foot. Come down, lift the toes up, give them a little scrunch, spread them out on the mat, bring them back down, bend into those knees. One last round of this. So wherever you were getting to, okay, you might decide to stay there, you might decide to drop lower, but energize that right side and just walk your way to wherever you want to bring your tree pose. Loosen up those toes on that right foot so that flow, we can go down through that root system. We can bring our hands to our heart, or we can lift them up. We're going to keep our palms together. We're going to feel that connection to our palm of our hands. And I know that might sound a bit like, what? But just notice the warmth in the palm of your hands, the touch of your hands, your fingers, your breath. Notice where your gaze goes. We call it a drishti point in yoga. It's where we look. So you notice I can look up at the camera, but I'm more comfortable just below it with my gaze when I'm balancing. Let the arms come down, let the foot come down. Again, we're just going slow. We're just moving that energy over to that left side. We're not in a rush. No, we might be holding the wall and going, whew, it's all good. Wherever you get to, that's your vision of a tree. No tree, if we looked outside, unless you've got all those cloned trees around you. But out in nature, they'll go different. Once you've got your steadiness, the hands might go to the heart. We'll keep going. Think about that lift we did in between the ribs. And so think about how we prepared the body to be the supple tree that can move with that little bit of movement that's going on in the foot. Think about your breath. Feel the sensation of your hands touching. Notice, again, your drishti point, maybe what your mind's doing. Can it stay just with that breath and the sensations? So I want to jump from tree to tree. Come down slow. Whoa. And moving into those knees. We're going to be at the front of our mat team. Just going to move my mat a little. So front of the mat, feet a little closer together now, but again comfortably together. So We don't want to try and keep our feet, we're not in the Iyengar kind of narrow foot, okay, feet comfortably apart. This gives us room for thighs, for balance, for knees that are a bit interesting. Means that we're not encouraging our knees to sink together, okay? We're trying to keep that nice alignment with our hips. Take a breath. Think back to the start of your practice. Now crew, I am getting to some 20-minute practices, but if you've got to this point and you're like, this is a really good point to go, hey, I might actually stop at this point and there's a 20-minute-ish practice, 25-minute practice. So just kind of think about that. If you're coming into the second half of practice, just notice how your body is feeling. What's it doing? What does it need? Take a breath into that. We're going to inhale, take the arms up slowly. Feel that beautiful movement through the body. And this time when we lift, we're going to lift right up, like we're lifting out of our tummy. So we're going to feel the belly button and do that little movement, and then we're going to reach from the belly button upwards. Drop your breath into the belly. Some of you will find that you're naturally bending back a little bit. Make sure there's no strain in your spine. It's a lengthening, not a squishing sensation. Bring it back to center. Bring the hands down through that center line. So you're going to bring the energy down the center line. Bend into the knees, chair pose. Okay, tailbone goes back. Breathe for a moment there. Just tailbone going back, soft feet, long spine. So no hunching and not too much arching. We've got a long spine. We're folding around into that forward fold. If we need to move our feet a little bit further apart, do. Make some room for tummy and boobs. Let the head drop, let the shoulders go. Lift up to the halfway mark, so slide the hands up to below the knees. Lift the head and the back so that the back's parallel with the floor. And down we go. I'm going to take the left foot, step it back into a high lunge. Make room for boobs and belly, so snuggle them down the inside of that leg. Push back through that left heel. Let's see if we can bring the upper body up, just slow. Look after this front knee, so sink nice and low, keep that centre of gravity down. We're on the ball of the back foot, so that back heel is pushing back. We can leave our arms down, or we can go slowly up again. Slow, slow, inhale. Exhale. And again, inhaling up. And exhaling, letting that exhale come down. Option when we inhale up this time, we're going to lean into arrowhead pose. So we're going to reach out over this front leg, long spine, pushing back through that back heel, sinking the hips nice and deep. Bring the hands down. We're going to step back into plank. Press back through those heels. We've got the option of taking knees down at this point too, so just notice those energy levels. Wrists under shoulders. So chest going forward, heels going back. So we're lengthening the body out. And then up into down dog, or back into a frog pose. We're just bringing the heart towards the floor if you've got your knees down. Lift that tailbone up, so really get that sense of lifting and elongating, let the heels work their way down. Feel your breath. We're going to meet on all fours. So come forward. Cat cow, just one. Inhale, bring the chest forward.
Exhale, bring that spine up towards the roof. Woo. And bring that to center. We're going to take that left foot, step it up. Tuck those back toes under. High lunge. Push back through that back heel. Get the feeling, so get some steadiness. Again, remember, we're not trying to flow through this fast. We're aware of that setting up, getting ourselves nice and set up. So when we bring the upper body up, we're nice and steady. Drop through those hips. Sink nice and low for that steadiness. Again, if you're not feeling very stable or that lower back's a little bit interesting, leave the arms down. Otherwise, we're slowly inhaling, stroking that air. Exhaling. Find your breath, inhale out. Nice and long with those movements, nice and strong. This is that option of arrowhead moment, so inhale, bring the arms up. If you want to, lean forward, reach, heel goes one way, arms go the other. Long spine, find your breath. Down those arms come. Back into plank. Again, that option of bringing these down and pushing back. Let's chaturanga. Elbows squeeze in. Down we go there on the inside of those arms, landing on our tummy. Flatten the feet. Roll the shoulders down. Just start to lift the chest up. Don't push into those hands. Use those amazing back muscles. Chin tucks in. Lift slowly back. So keep nice and low to the floor. Leave the knees where they are. Just land where you do. Leave the hands where they are. Stretch out under the arms. Then roll forward again. Elbows bend. Chest stays nice and low to the floor. Landing on our belly. Elbows come in. Lifting. Just slowly again. Not pushing into the hands. Push into the top of the feet. Unclench those butt cheeks if they're really tightening up. Breathe. And again, chin tucks in, elbows come out. Just lift the chest off the floor. Then pop that bum up and scoot back slowly. Stretch it out, leave the knees. Arms where they are, we can tuck our toes under for a bit of traction. And again, coming forward, slow, close to the floor, land it. This time we're going into Sphinx. Flatten those feet, forearms along the floor, roll the shoulders down, and look up. Breathing it out. For those of you that know Monty Dog, he is here. He is absolutely fun, tuck it out, lying under the kitchen table, just there, the dining room table. You are in my dining room. He went for an hour and a half long walk last night with his other dear friend. He's a bit tired. And so come down slowly. We're going to stack our arms up. We're going to slide that left knee out. So think of the shape that we were making when we were standing on our right foot. Okay, so this is that shape. This is our tree pose. If you tuck your foot in nice and close to your leg, you are lying down in that tree pose. But what we're doing here is we're just letting the weight of your body sink that hip closer to the floor. And so we're just going to find relaxed enough. So you might want to make a nest for your head or just bring it down. Or turn your head, if you can, to the right. So our left knee is up. alongside us, but our head is turning right. We're going to bring our head up. We're going to slide that left knee down. Bring this right knee up. So again, think tree pose. So tuck that foot in and find comfortable for your head, including turning it left if you can. Bring it slowly back to center. So slide that leg down, bring our hands under our shoulders. Chin tucks in, we're rolling back this time either to that pose that we were doing or into down dog. So checking the G levels. Lifting slow. Find your way to one of the two. Roll the shoulders away. If you're up and down dog, lift up through that tailbone and let those heels just release. Working gently into that Achilles and calf area. We're going to be on all fours. And another couple this time of cat-cow poses. So inhale, lift. Exhale, go the other way. And just keep that movement just slow. Inhaling. And exhaling. Just that beautiful length along the spine, so really feeling that connection to the movement. Before we sit ourselves down and around, so bring yourself around to seated. We're coming into Baddha Konasana, so we're going to bring our feet in close to us, soles of feet close to us. Hold on to your feet. Give everything a wriggle. Lots of movement in this way in this class. So what we want to do is go, okay, that's feeling good, or I might have worked a bit too deep. If you've worked a bit too deep, take the feet out further so that you're not kind of right in that groin space. And sitting upright, so we're really lifting along the spine. We're thinking that same movement in between the ribs so that we're long. The tendency with this is to C-shape our spine when we start to go forward because we want to get there. So we think, oh, I'll bring my head closer. It doesn't work like that. So we want that long spine. So even if it's just a few millimeters that you start to come forward, you're working all those beautiful muscles and just getting that movement into an area of our body that can really take a whole lot of stress, and that's into that hip space. So just go slow. If your knees are right up, just be patient with them. They might never get near the floor, and that's fine. It's about just getting or keeping the range of motion that we've got as we age, so we're not losing that range of motion. So breathe, just roll those shoulders down. Feel like you can come forward a little further if there's some room. Think about that lift through the chest, so we're rolling around the hips, so lift the chest back up and forward, come up slow. Little wriggle, little wriggle, wriggle. And take our legs out in front, so straight out in front.
knees a little softening and a little shake. Rolling our shoulders down, bring our hands down, Dandasana. So arm length, big part of this one. So if you're waving at the floor, that's fine. If you've got the bend at the elbows and are thinking there's nothing going on, it's all about your upper body anyway. So I'm going to roll the shoulders down. Make sure you're sitting on your sit bones. Avoid doing what, and I know I used to do it, lifting up your butt cheeks to get your sit bones closer to the floor. That misaligns all those muscles. So we just want to kind of make sure that we're not tucking our tailbone under is more important. So our tailbone is in alignment with our spine, not curled under. If you're really curled under, put a cushion under the sit bones, just the very edge of the cushion and the very edge of the sit bones, just to lift the pelvis just a little bit up. Okay, can really help with this one. We're not flattening our knees. Again, we're not going Iyengar, where we used to butterfly our knees. No, 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 no. We're keeping them soft. And we're really feeling like there's a line from the center of the pelvis up, coming up the crown of our head, that we're trying to get kind of to line up and feel strong. So we're lifting.
You've got an edge, Mr. G.
Oh, he thought about coming to say hello and just fell back on the floor, so. So, notice your toes. This is one of the classic things we also do where we either floppy our legs or we pull our big toe back and we overflex our foot. So our toes, our big toe wants to be pointing straight up towards the roof. A little bit like this line is if there's a line coming up through your foot, and it's just pulling that big toe straight up. So the shoulders drop down. Now about now you might be thinking, this is much stronger than it looks. Yes, yes it is. All of our forward folds come from this shape. And so you might think, well, I'm actually sitting too stiffly to fold forward. But the thing is that the forward fold isn't anything to do with this bit. It's all happening at your hips, where your pelvis needs to be able to tilt around. And so the thing that we used to do was try and reach for our toes, which also made us pull our toes back, right? Or we would grab hold of them and pull them back. So what I want you to think about is, if you can't sit up straight, there's your mahi, there's your job. You know, it's just to just get to a point where you can sit relatively comfortably. You may always need cushions, okay, for that. Next part is to start to feel like you can get even a little bit of movement around the hips. Now, again, we might go, belly, what do I do with that? Put those legs out wider. Okay, so do the wide leg version. If once you're sitting, you're like, my tummy is sitting on my thighs. Okay, so give your tummy some room to move. Just to demo that, team, so those of you sitting comfortably like this, this is just a demonstration. When we sit like this and we have, so we have the belly, there he is. We can lift it, okay? So we need to be quite kind of strong with the tummy to get us around to there, okay? So don't be shy with that belly of kind of, you know, and bellies can be different, like solidness. So those of you that have got a rolly bit, easy. Those of you where it's quite solid, you know, there's a lot of muscle in there, then it's quite a bit of wriggling. Okay, so wriggle so that you can come forward. If you're sitting with your legs like this, it's not going to happen if there's any tummy in the way. So you might find that, oh, I didn't realise that's what's stopping me. So take those legs out wide enough to be able to get that tummy in the right spot. Once we've started to do that, what do I do with my arms? What do I do with those? So what we don't want to do is grab our big toes unless you are so relaxed that you're not going to pull on your big toe. Okay, so you'll see some photos where they are holding onto their big toe, but that's when they're super duper like able to reach in there. So we're walking down the outside of our legs to stop us from
thinking that it's all about this upper back movement. It's not. The back needs to stay nice and long, nice and straight. So that when it rolls around, it's just coming into that nice kind of lengthening. When we get there, the place that we would hold on to first is actually the outside edge of our feet, which might sound familiar from when we're standing, when we're doing down dog, when we're in our stronger poses, our lunges, where I'll say take the weight slightly to the outside edge of the front foot or the back foot, or so that brings the alignment in. Okay, so we have a tendency to kind of move in interesting ways. When we do that, we activate those muscles. Okay, so find your way in and out of the pose a couple of times, just playing with, maybe it's leg distance, maybe it's, what do I do, can I actually move my puku? And for those of you kind of sitting straight up, yeah, actually, what if I put a prop or even a rolled up towel under those sit bones? Lift yourself up. Okay, so we're going to do a few more breaths just playing with that, maybe hanging out in the pose, just kind of breathing into it. Notice your breath, notice your spine. So spine stretch eventually, once those hamstrings kind of recognise that they can move, so they don't always want to do. They're going to lift up and we're going to move those legs, so we around for one last down dog team. So if you haven't done one yet and you feel like it, join us. Otherwise, into a frog pose, and we'll join you in that in a few breaths time. So if you're coming into down dog, into plank, up through the hips, down through the heels, let the head drop, let the face relax. Long deep breath. We're going to meet in frog pose, or your version of pose the child. So let's take our knees out, big toes together if you've been in down dog. Pull it back slowly, sink into it. We can leave our arms stretched away, we can tuck them in and take a bit more of a rest. Then from there, team, we're going to turn ourselves over and around. So just checking our time. I've got plenty of time. So we're going to turn ourselves over. It's not Shavasana just yet, but you're going to lie yourselves down, bring your knees in towards your belly. Take a hold of them if you can. Do some circling around that lower back crew. There's been quite a bit of work that can impact into the lower back. As soon as we're working hips, we're starting to put that pressure into the SI joints and all that kind of stuff. So lots of moving around just slowly. Change that direction, go around the other way. We're going to put some nice twists in to finish. Bring that all back to center. Stretch the arms out, so give the arms that space. Bring the feet down to the floor. Lift your hips up and over to the left. Pop them back down. Slowly take those knees over to the right and turn your head to look along that left arm. But just everything slowly. going to bring it back to center. So just lift those knees back up. Bring those hips back to center. Take a moment just to feel the two sides of the body, so the sensations on the two sides of the body. So take a breath in between. And shift the hips up and over to the right. And the knees, head left, the head turns to look along that right arm. And then we just find the breath, just melt, let yourself melt. Bring it back to center. Bring the hips back to center. Let's reach our arms up towards the roof and then slowly over your head, reach them behind you. Option here, if your hips feel okay with it, drop those knees out to the side. So Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet towards each other. If they've had enough, leave those knees together. We're going to reach those arms and then we're going to bend them. And bring the fingertips towards each other. Forefingers might actually touch. Feel that opening across the chest. Let your shoulders release into the floor, especially if you know that's where you hold your tension. Tuck your chin in so the back of your neck's nice and long. And really let yourself just sink into that space. We're going to let that exhale start to bring that kind of energy down to the floor, down into that pausing. And depending on what's going on for you at the moment, just kind of let yourself soak for a moment in your breath. So if it's all a bit loud, just focus on the tip of your nose if you can breathe through your nose. And just feel the sensation of the exhale. Feel that little pause in between. Feel the inhale arrive. That pause and then the exhale flowing out through those nostrils. Just start there, feel the nostrils. If you're feeling okay, you might bring that awareness into the sinuses if you're breathing in through your nose. Feel the air circulating, getting kind of cleaned by those sinuses before it goes down into your lungs. Catching the debris. Some people are like, it's catching the pollen. Y'all. Just that slowness. Then we're going to bring that awareness to the chest moving. And this might be where you check in with your hips. If you've got your knees out, you might bring your knees back together. You might be quite comfortable there, or you might want to start stretching your legs down along the floor. If your arms are alright with ours, just leave them there for this part of the breathing, because we've got that lift in the chest. But if they're starting to feel it, just bring them back alongside the body. You want to feel the expansion of the chest on the inhale and that releasing on the exhale. Feel the diaphragm moving, feel the ribs moving. And then bring your awareness down into your belly. And as you do, see if you can follow the breath, the sensations from your nostrils, the sinuses, the chest, the diaphragm, and the belly, just feeling the sensations of the breath. We're going to stay with that. Just bring your arms to comfortable, might be alongside the body, might be on the belly. Legs, we're going to keep either our knees, bring our knees together, or stretch our legs down along the floor. And just following the breath, let your whole body sink on that exhale. Starting to come to rest. And at this point, if there's those of you that have got the time to move from this to meditation, just reach for that volume. Those of you that are going to need to return at the end of this, just stay for a couple of minutes in that silence, and then I'll bring you back out. Letting yourself sink, letting the breath just be that focus. Like as it circulates through the nostrils, just catching all those thoughts and words and going, nah, don't need to. The next couple of breaths, we're going to count. So we're going to find our way to 5 slow breaths. Just find that depth of breath. It might take a couple of breaths to get there. And then when you do, just lengthen it all out. Know that you're kind of filling up the tank for the rest of the day, whatever's left of your day or your night. Letting out whatever you found that you don't want to carry with you into this next part of your day, your week. And then the next inhale, we're going to reach our arms up again. Exhale, slowly over. If you've got your legs stretched out, just on the next inhale, wander them up the mat. To all wriggle our toes and our fingers, just feel those sensations come back. We're going to turn over onto our left side and just come around slowly to seated. Oh, goodness me. So feel that feeling, however that feeling is feeling, however that feeling is landing for you, of just like, oh yeah, yoga. I've yogaed. Let your shoulders drop, just kind of find your breath. And we're going to inhale, bring our arms up. Bring those palms together again. Just feel that touch of your hands as they come down to your heart space. And just notice. You might want to bow your head and close your eyes. You might want to just stay with a soft gaze. Just come into that feeling of the amazingness of being in a human body and being able to breathe, being connected into the earth, however that makes sense to you. Many blessings, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me in the practice this week.